Let the Turbogrind commence! We are here. Alright, so, as usual, just complete all-rounder. At least for a while. So I was watching Cryoris play this earlier, and it looks like retiring 20 times is still a bit slow and a bit hard. So we're gonna probably get 10, 20 retirements under our belt. I'm gonna get to the point where I can effectively just jam a bunch of stat points in the very beginning and charge straight to level 100 without actually doing any, well, not without doing any work, but you know, without having to like manage too much ish. Okay. Because if I can effectively just bypass like a lot of the initial grind just by being or bypass the, if I can get to 100 without putting on any clothing or anything of the sort, this gets incredibly easy. Uh-oh. Okay. Lagged up for a bit. I'm just gonna toss like 3 things on. Though I think my level's high enough, or my stats are high enough that like this straight up doesn't matter. Let's see. I'm just gonna. It's probably not the most efficient of allocation, but I don't think I need to worry about it too much. Okay. And times 500 speed. It's a little hard to manage some of these things. Okay, so I'm already level 30. Yeah, we might be able to turbo retire within like a couple of rounds here. Because, God, I don't even remember what level I was my first round through. Right. So the strategy, I remember now. Instead of managing every single time we get through one of these, it's to go until I die. And then we get rid of all the stuff in our inventory. Okay, there, we died. Get rid of all the stuff in the inventory. Allocate all of our skills. Keep going until we die again. And then start over. Managed to catch me at the beginning of the stream. That's a feat! Alright, that's no good. That's better. That's better. Okay, there we go. I don't think we need the rest of this, so I'm just gonna invest in these. Yeah, because we've got 23 stat points just sitting around that I bet will turn the tides, and we're already halfway to 100. I'm timing myself a little bit on this one. I'm not going that fast. But yeah, I bet you could absolutely put together at least somewhat of a script on how to just zip through this. Oh yeah, we are unbeatable. Okay, so what is the plan for today? Seeing as we are here, we are going. So I'm going to be doing Great Hero's Beard at least for a little while. It's kind of a relaxing way to start the stream every day. Okay, so we died again. Relaxing way to start, and after, I don't know, after satisfying myself with some Turbogrind, we're going to switch over to Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales, and then Monster Sanctuaries on Kickstarter, finally. So we're gonna go back and take a look at the new beta for that. Or the new beta? The new demo. Because there's a new demo, and we might as well do like a secondary series on Monster Sanctuary and see how it goes. And then after that is, I got a bunch of new indie games, so I could do some of that. Or we could just do, like Warframe. I wouldn't mind Warframe, honestly. I'd like to do more crosscode, but I need to record other things. Because I've got, like, almost a week's worth of spare crosscode? No, it's like 5 days worth of spare crosscode. And... oh. That was some armor that I could have used. Oh, well. Oh, and you get banned. I'm always kind of surprised that Twitch doesn't auto-block weird image macro ASCII dicks. Why do people do that? I don't know. I guess people just want to get a rise out of people. Okay, let's try this again. Monster Sanctuary is the monster RPG Metroidvania, right? Yes. Okay, so we've hit our limit. Let's just go to the Road of Dreams. I might actually just be able to hit it level 100 here without having to do too much. Can't care any more items. Don't care. Because, yeah, we're still leveling at an accelerated rate, even in this section. Normally I'd, like, progress, but we're getting 3 levels per run on Road of Dreams. And that means I can hit 100 without even trying. We could actually potentially get up to 101 here in, like, no time flat. So let's do 101, that little bit of extra EXP. And a stat point for no extra, like, work. Seems reasonable. And it's one of those where I could potentially get up to 102, but this is fine. Okay, so we're back. Let's see, it doesn't look like anything major has changed yet, so let's just keep looping. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time getting past level 100, because I want those starting skill points. Because if I can actually just fill out every skill, that'll help a lot. Let's see. When would Warframe be at? Unfortunately, between everything, it probably won't be till, like, midnight. Because I'm going to try and start doing some more Warframe. I'm also going to be trying to start earlier. Recently, I haven't been able to start my usual, like, stream time, whatever, because I've been reading too much. There are very few things that will ever hold back a stream. Errands and chores and stuff, so laundry, for example, will mess me up. And a good book. A good book is real dangerous to my ability to get work done. Because I get very distracted. Let's see, what's the music? This is Wandersong. I was listening to the music for this game for a while, but because of how fast we burn through the levels, it wasn't really worth my time. Let's see. So what book is it? It's called The Wandering Inn. It's an amateur light novel? Web novel, whatever. But it's very charming. And so I was, I found myself kind of drawn to its... But I say, it's like really casual. I think maybe the word is untainted. Whenever I read, like, novels, sometimes I'm always a little bit grumpy, because it feels like the writer's trying to go too dark or something, maybe? I don't know, it varies a lot. But, like, a lot of books end up being just kind of eh. And, like, I've tried to read Brandon Sanderson, and it's not bad, but everybody has these, like, dark, mysterious, like, pasts, and everybody's unhappy, and I think I think that's it, actually. It's just, like, I like books where, like, the characters are reasonably happy. And I find with a lot of, like, modern fantasy and sci-fi, everybody just sucks. I love the Expanse series, but almost none of those characters are inherently happy. What's the current game speed? 500. You did not like Wandering Inn. Really? I like it a lot. But I think I just kind of needed something very casual at the moment. And long. But I mean, not every book's for everybody. What was I reading? The other one, Kings of the Wild, I really enjoyed. It kind of hit the same note. It's like there were stakes, things did go bad occasionally, and you had to worry about stuff. Let's see, Long Earth by Terry Pratchett. I've read every single Terry Pratchett book with the exception of the last couple he ever wrote. I can't bring myself to read Terry Pratchett anymore. It's too sad. I have the same problem with Brian Jacques, the writer for the Redwall series. I can't bring myself to read those books as much as I used to because I'm sad. Because Terry Pratchett was an absolute gem of an author, and I'm a little sad that he's gone. You don't run into a whole lot of authors that, like, really pull that sort of thing off. Wander played Necopara yet, or... I'm probably never gonna play Necopara. I don't like weird, fanservice-y visual novels. If I play a visual novel, it's gotta be higher level of good. Have I read the sequel for Kings of the Wild? Oh yeah, day of. I read the whole thing, more or less on the plane while I was flying to Seattle last month. And that was really good. I liked the first one better. The second one was better written, but it was definitely starting to err in the, like, nobody's happy. Everybody kind of low-key sucks or is having a bad time. But I liked it. Let's see. Have I ever tried Expeditionary Force? No, I haven't. Yeah, lost some of its charm. Kind of. I don't know. The main character for the sequel to Kings of the Wild, who's... Was it Bloody Rose? She wasn't too bad, but I think it was just kind of one of those where everybody was just a little bit sadder. Whereas, like... Kings of the Wild was special. It was definitely a little bit more on the amateurish side to some small degree. But the, But it really felt like a bunch of old drunk adventurers going on one last ramble. You know, that's supposed to be what the story is. And it was just so charming. Even if, like, bad things happened. And it definitely did have, like, a lack of consequences. You know, there were bad things that happened, but they almost immediately got fixed. You know, one of the characters' major motivations was to cure a disease, and he just, like, literally fell onto the cure. And it's just like... Oh, I mean, I guess it works. Let's get up a couple levels here, seeing as we're here, and it's not as much of a slog to get past level 100. We'll get up to 102, probably. Let's see, have I played Firewatch? It's pretty long, but the game is nothing but fetch quests, but the story and visuals are amazing. I kind of wanted to, but everybody... So, I am, I don't want to say, like, I'm a hipster when it comes to YouTube, but I prefer to play games that nobody else is playing, just because there's a billion... I have a list of... God, my notepad is getting full again. I have a list of about 20 indie games coming out over the next 2 weeks, or plus about 5 to 10 more that I've missed, that I didn't cover because of various things. And almost nobody gave them any coverage, because it's not Fortnite and whatnot. And... I'm not going to say it's my personal mission to cover games that nobody else does, but, like, to some small degree, I do want to spend a lot of my time over the next couple of years trying to shed light on some of these games. I mean, this game, for example, I'm not entirely sure how well it did on YouTube. I truly have no idea. You know, I don't know if anybody else is playing it, but... But from my perspective, you know, this is kind of one of those, like, little things that I'd enjoy. Wait, we have an eye patch now. Okay, let's slow this down for a second. We've got an eye patch and our other eye is red. Huh. Okay, that's a new one. Let's see, first episode of this had 4,000 views. Yeah, no. I know how well it did for me. I'm more curious about how well it, you know, how many other YouTubers are covering this game. Because... I know, like, a couple people from, like, my circles-ish that have taken a look at this one. But yeah, the other reason why I'm, like, a little iffy on Firewatch is... And this one's, like, a little bit more of a gray area, but there was a thing a while back where PewDiePie said some pretty awful stuff while streaming. I mean, PewDiePie yelled racial epithets, and it's like, that's not a defensible position, that I'm gonna say, like, he was right to do so, but the developers effectively were like, well, he has a series on our game. Let's do DMCA takedowns on his entire series, kind of to hurt him for this. And I'm like, it makes sense, but it felt like it was too... aggressive, maybe? It's scary when a developer tries to weaponize their position a little bit. And so, like, yeah, realistically, I'd never have to worry about it myself. But I'd prefer to play games where the developers, I think... How would I describe it? I don't know how I describe it, but there's a massive difference for me in, like, me playing, say, Firewatch and me playing, there's a game called Pinstripe that's coming out on the Switch. I think it's been on PC for a while, but the developer of Pinstripe had specifically reached out to me asking if I would cover their game, and they were super appreciative of the fact that I will be covering their game. I'll probably do a one-off unless it's really, really good, at which point I'll do more. That's kind of how I usually do things. But, you know, that's a developer that, like, I want to support. And obviously I do support a lot of other developers and ones that, like, do well. I know Campo Santo isn't actually that bad, but it's just, like, I'm conflicted enough that I'd rather just stay away. It's why I'll never play Fez, for example. Because I think Phil Fish is, too aggressive in his opinions. Too quick to want to, like, weaponize what he did. Because he effectively was saying that all YouTubers are thieves and stealing money from him and whatnot. And it's just like, you know, when I hear a developer say that, I'm just like, that Dragon Cancer is also kind of another easy example of this one, where the developers were saying no to YouTubers because they didn't want anybody else profiting off of it. And it's like, I get that. I do. And, like, in that case, it kind of sucks. But it's like, I guess I don't trust people enough to say, like, yeah, you know, it'll probably be fine. I should never have continued with Persona 5, honestly. It's kind of a random aside. Because I did a series on Persona 5, and I probably should not have gone past the embargo, but I don't think they do anything. Especially at this point. But I'm always just a little scared of, like, a developer being like, you know what I could do? Okay, we could probably get a better sword than this. I could invest a little bit more into damage. As long as you don't do anything to upset a developer. Knowing you, I'd say it's highly unlikely. It's true, but, like, I guess I've been around enough. I'm gonna use the word mercurial to describe them. You know, I've been around enough people that are, like, willing to weaponize their position. You know, position of authority, position as a game developer, IP owner, whatever. That it's just like, I'd rather just associate myself with people that are stable. Let's see, why is there an embargo on Persona 5? Didn't it release a few years back? Yeah, and they said no Let's Plays past a certain point. And we're, like, threatening channel takedowns and stuff. Which is, like, legitimately not okay. And I'm gonna say I foolishly decided to do so anyway. And realistically, I've not hit a single, I can't find my mouse in this mess sometimes. I foolishly decided to continue anyway. But, you know, okay, I'm just gonna get a clicker script. Get my clicker script up. I have an idea. Can I do 2 of these? Because it'd be nice if I could actually have it do right-click. Oh, I can. Let's see. I've got a clicker script that I'm just gonna use to buy stat points here. I don't actually know if this is worthwhile. I'm glad that it makes my mouse cursor red now, so I can figure this out. Is there a way to auto-equip your best gear? No, sadly. Okay, can I reset that? Okay, I can reset that. Perfect. Getting some of this set up is going to be a bit of a problem, but that's okay. Whoops. That drags us all around. Okay. So yeah, I'll just use the clicker script to modify some things. Unfortunately, selling items is right-click. Means I can't use the clicker script for it. I don't know why, but managing this game is actually a little bit harder on my hand than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, so Atlas, I understand why Atlas wants to like avoid spoilers and stuff like that, but I don't think it's fair to streamers ever to like threaten their livelihood. Unless like the streamers, the only time I would say it's okay for a developer to actively like take down a video is if the streamer is doing something like actually not okay. Like for example, you know, I could understand it if the streamer was like somehow breaking or destroying the game on camera in such a way that like, you know, I guess reenacting weird, not safe for work things in Mario. Like I could kind of understand that just because like, you know, that may be taking it a little bit too far with product-ish. But even then, like, hard to say. It would be worse if somebody was, like, actively just sitting around playing a game and like, encouraging people never to buy this. But even then, that's not okay. There is such a small number of things that any person could say or do about a video game that a developer should be allowed to take it down, outside of misuse of copyright. Yeah, promoting skin gambling in CSGO. Or for example, those guys that were promoting their own skin gambling situation. Like that I could get behind. You know, that they should not have been doing that. And, you know, I think they kind of got slapped in court, but it wasn't nearly enough of a, like, a slap, I think. Because that was, like, they should never be allowed to advertise on YouTube if they've done that. Hell, they probably shouldn't even have channels, because that's actually straight-up exploitation. Because, like, I'll advertise games, and sometimes I'll have, like, an affiliate link that's like, hey, by the way, if you want to pick up this game, buy it through here and you'll support me. And, like, you know, that's kind of fine, but it's like masquerading. I think it's the point when it becomes a lie, when you're lying to your audience, trying to get them to do something. Like, yeah, okay, sometimes I've definitely like masked my opinions and been like, you know, I like this game when I like only kind of like a game. But I think there's a drastic difference between like actively trying to sucker your audience into giving you more money by advertising what seems to be like an unaffiliated site or something. It's like somebody making a GoFundMe for their cancer treatments when they don't have cancer. Yeah, they're also rigging the gambling to make it look more appealing. Yup. Like that's illegal. Internet gambling is a serious problem. Loot boxes are a serious problem. And like I'm a little disappointed that the world has not been better about, like, policing that stuff a little bit. Because, if I remember it, like, most online loot box situations actually straight up, like... They'll straight up actually change the chances based on, like, your win-loss ratio or whatever. Like, it's not a fixed rate. And, like, that's not okay. It should never be okay. Everybody should have the exact same chances, probably. And if your chances are bad, then tough? Like, then people shouldn't buy. I don't know. I don't like loot boxes that much. I don't mind loot boxes when it's, like, not cash shop. You know, I've been, you know, I played... what was it called? I played Battle Chasers. And, like, that game had loot boxes in it, but the loot boxes were obtainable through direct gameplay. And I thought that was actually totally acceptable as far as I'm concerned. Because it was like, yeah, okay, so I just have to, huh. I've never seen that amulet go by. You know, I just have to play the game, kind of earn this random currency through battles, side quests, and like so on and so forth, and not have to worry about, I think that's actually slower. Fighting the boss is less EXP. Maybe we can go on to Sinner's Refuge and do fine. Yeah. Not very long, though. Efcock's Graveyard? It's not as good. Back to this one. But no, I just don't like loot boxes. The only way I'm okay with the loot box is if it's like... maybe Path of Exile? Cosmetic loot boxes I can at least tolerate. Because cosmetic loot boxes, you're like, okay, whatever, it's like, I'll go through all this extra... well, I'll spend a little bit of money for a chance at something real cool. Or not. You know, maybe I'll get unlucky. I bring up Path of Exile because if I remember right, once you get one item from a loot box, you can't get it again. So technically, you could keep opening the loot box until you have everything? I think that's the case. And like, to me, that's acceptable. I'm not so sure about, like, the Guild Wars 2 setup, for example, where it's like, hey, we've locked all of our cosmetics for, like, this singular thing behind a loot box situation. I'm like, I don't really wanna pay into a loot box like that. Okay, I'm wrong. You can get duplicates and they actually do nothing. Can't even get them out of your inventory. Then never mind. Apparently, Path of Exile is wrong and dumb about loot boxes. Let's see. Cosmetic loot boxes is the man who bought and downloaded how many for Persona? They weren't loot boxes, though. I don't like paying money for cosmetics, but I'll do it, especially for a series, because one, I'm actually making money from games and videos and whatnot. So it's like, for me, I can kind of justify anywhere from some of the shittier, like, EXP boost situations. Honestly, I'd rather use, like, Cheat Engine and the like. But for Persona, I picked up a bunch of different skins, so things would be less stale, because listening to that music over and over and over again, especially on a YouTube video, is awful. Because they straight up only had, like, 5 different battle themes, and they were all pretty similar, save for, like, specific boss themes. And it got kind of boring real freaking fast. And, like, you know, I'll pay an extra, like, 20 bucks for a series so that my character, you know, looks interesting as opposed to some kind of weird digital ragamuffin. But I would generally not recommend that to anybody else. I just do it because I have to be more presentable than everybody else. Ish. But no, in general, like, if Persona 5 had its, like, those skins locked off behind loot boxes, I would have bought a single one. The only game I've ever bought loot boxes in was Fortnite, and it was a giant mistake. For obvious reasons. I think their new systems might not be so bad, but I have no idea. I've given up on that game. Everybody else can have it. I wouldn't say they lied about their single player, but it definitely was like, oh, hey, our Battle Royale mode is real popular. Okay, switching over to that, single player can kind of get some updates here and there, and it's like, I only bought this for the single player, and it's a horrid mess. Thank. let's see, Wanderbot Fortnite crates. Yeah, when it was single player, or you know, when it was just the co-op mode, because that, you know, I was like, okay, well, I'll just get some good guns, so I'm not like stuck grinding for like some basic stuff and doing dailies every day, so I can just, you know, get further in the game. They took the path of greed versus the path of love for a game. Yeah, I think that's one of my my main criteria, and that's why I like indie games so much. And like a couple of AAA games. Let's see, what's a good example? God of War is actually a really good example of a game that very clearly was made by people that loved what they were doing and loved the product that they made. Same thing with Insomniac's Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man was actually made by people that wanted to make a good Spider-Man game. And it shows. Compared to, say... what's a good example? I mean, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I think I've heard is quite good. But it did seem like I think they lost it. They lost the script a little bit.